The third, something that you probably don't associate with this system, is lipid absorption. Lipids. Another name for what?
Fat.
The fats. Well, wait a minute. Do we want a whole lot of those in the body?
No.
But does the body just automatically get rid of them?
Never use them.
Okay? The body is either going to use them or store them. Now, whatever the blood capillaries can't absorb, we're going to find something called lacteals. Little projection. We're going to see that they are found with the small intestines, and their job will be to absorb lipids that the bloodstream didn't. Now, the reason that the body wants to do that is we need lipids for making plasma membranes. All right? That's one of the biggest jobs that we're going to have the fats in the body for. Make the plasma membranes. Now, because that is so important, one of the things that the body's going to do, the body's going to store those fat cells. Another part that happens with the fat cells, you know, they'll get stored, and they'll get stored around organs, okay? That's one of the bad things, all right? It'll then begin to store in other tissues of the body, like around muscle, okay? Making muscle less muscular, all right? But it's because the body does not want to run out of these cells, because the cells are used for making plasma membranes. Now, they are also a backup source of energy. So the body does want to recover lipids as much as possible. When we look at the components of this system, the fluid, like I've said, which is very plasma-like, okay? Not blood as a whole. You could separate, which we do, when you separate the two, okay, the plasma looks very different from the red blood cell count, blood, okay? So this fluid is very plasma-like. So it's the lymphatic system. The fluid is now termed lymph. All right? Always refer to it as lymph. It does get recovered by these vessels that I've been trying to talk about at the tissue level. It's clear, it's colorless, very much consistency like blood plasma. Now, the lymph, as it makes its way through the vessels, then as lymph enters the lymph node, okay, when it leaves the lymph node, it will have a large number of lymphocytes. Another term that we need to think about back to chapter 18. Do you remember in chapter 18, the big picture where it showed like all the different cells, like the red blood cells, the white blood cells, the platelets, okay? These were represented in that picture. Now, lymphocytes, okay, monocytes, neutrophils, basophils, eosinophils. Y'all remember all these terms? Okay. Well, lymphocytes, okay, these are going to be part of what we term non-specific immunity. Now, what we're gonna find out, our body will have what we call the non-specific and then specific. And the way that it reacts to an antigen is going to become important. Well, I should say a pathogen, okay? A pathogen is going to become important. So, lymphocytes are one of the first cells needed when we have been attacked. All right? So as that lymph leaves the node and is making its way to the heart, it'll pick up lymphocytes. It might also have some macrophages in it. And then we can see, all right, well, there's other material that might have gotten collected at that tissue level. Hormones, for example, could be found. Now, as it begins to travel, if it has picked up something that is going to be considered foreign, okay, we're going to have to take care of that. We do not want the material that is foreign to make its way to the heart. Okay, so we're going to find that if we have encountered bacteria, viruses, okay, we're going to have to try to get rid of it. If it's cellular debris, we need to make sure that the proper cells that are needed can eat the cellular debris. We're going to actually have cells that can destroy cancer cells. All right? So we're going to see that this system, it does some pretty cool stuff. The lymphatic vessels, another component of the lymph system. These that they're representing in green, okay? These are my lymph vessels, also known as lymphatics, all right? Like I've said, they begin at the tissue level as a capillary. Very similar, but one-way flow. Lucy?
Sorry, did you say you turned them like lymph vessels or lymphatic vessels? Is that what you call
Well, lymph vessels are lymphatics.
Okay.
Yeah, the same, the term applies.
Okay.
One-way flow. This closed end is the beginning. What? let me repeat that. This closed end is the beginning. No questions about that whatsoever.
I
I
do.
want to know how. I don't understand.
Do
how
they-
at the beginning?
Do they, so are these lymph vessels located all throughout the body, or are they only located in the lymph nodes?
Oh, no, no, no. Well, these lymph capillaries are located almost everywhere in the body. As they turn from these very small capillaries into larger vessels, vessels have to flow to a lymph node.
In the lymph node,
Well, the vessels have, maybe I should say, they have to connect to a lymph node.
and a lymph node is just like an area of where lymphatic fluid is located. A lot
A
of it.
lymph node is actually going to be an area of dense lymphatic tissue, which is going to be enclosed in a capsule.
I've never
Okay,
known that.
don't get ahead of me. I'm going to explain that. Now, flow. Okay, so only 2 people right now have questioned what I just said about that closed
So how does
end.
it start?
How does it start? Did anybody else have that question?
I figured you would get to it, so.
Okay, so do you happen to remember what the structure of the blood capillaries was? At that capillary level, they were a single layer thick. All right? The lymph capillary is going to be a single layer thick. Now, the way that the lymph capillary works, if this end is my beginning, they're going to be, do y'all remember the pores that would exist? There are going to be pores that are found, and if it's in this extracellular fluid, and if materials want to go from an area of high concentration to low concentration, that roughly 10 to 15% of fluid wants to flow into my lymph capillary. So this excess fluid, not a lot, okay, it wants to move into my lymph capillary from the tissue fluid.
Are they a specific kind of pore? It looks like the book just calls it an opening.
Just an opening
Okay.
in between those cells. Like we saw at the capillary level, where it was just like a little pore or a cleft or a big one. Well, this time, it's just a small one. Okay, it's just a little opening that exists. And it allows for the fluid that got left behind to move into my lymph capillary. Now, here's the other thing. My lymph capillaries are not under pressure. My lymph vessels as a whole. So, in order to ensure one-way fluid movement, they're going to have valves. So, as fluid moves in, passes, valves will open and close to ensure that the fluid continues moving in one direction.
Is this for the capillaries or just for vessels?
The system as a whole, we want the fluid to continue in one direction. So we're going to find that valves are present. Does that remind you of anything? Veins. So, this closed end is my beginning.
Is it the end too, kind of? Is it like the beginning and the end? Or just the beginning?
This will be the beginning because the end is the heart.
It's just kind of opposite the circulatory system. These
Exactly.
are starting at your tiny, teeny capillary beds.
And moving its way to the heart. Yes, no, maybe. All right.